Tonight on CTV News, passengers stranded.
If it means folks like me going to jail, then so be it.
More labor turbulence. Striking workers dig in, defying a back-to-work order. What Air Canada is saying now.
The thing that hurt the most was just not being able to be there for my family.
A BC Lions player misses his grandmother's funeral because his Air Canada flight was cancelled. And no turning back. Surrey suddenly puts an end to horse racing. Why a former mayor is slamming the decision.
This is CTV News with me, Jung Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Striking Air Canada workers are turning up the heat on the airline, breaking the law to remain on the picket line. They're defying the federal back-to-work order, grounding thousands of flights. It's a high-stakes strategy that could put union leaders in jail. CTV's Sinjin Alexander's live at YVR, where 700 flights have been canceled. And Sinjin, the union is digging in its heels.
And you can see it, Jung. You can certainly hear it. They are adamant. They are not going anywhere. They are not going back to work. And you are right. CUPE's president said today he is willing to go to jail if he has to.
Unpaid workers got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho.
Leaving little doubt they weren't about to give in, a loud, spirited defiance across the country.
We won't go. Hell no.
Air Canada employees told to go back to work said no way. Abandoned their post in the sky and hit the pavement.
Through every step of this, people will be there our whole way.
We are entitled to fair pay, fair wages, and this is no longer about bargaining. This is now a movement for labor rights in Canada.
That means, of course, more flights have been canceled, more passengers left in the lurch.
That's 3 more nights in a hotel in Ottawa.
Just a little bit nervous because we're going to have to fork out a lot of money to pay for our own way home, and then just hope that they'll reimburse us.
We deeply, deeply regret the impact that this is having on your families and on your lives.
We are here with extra staffing to support passengers who are here who do need some extra assistance as best we can. That said, the best thing is for those passengers who don't have a confirmed flight not to come to the airport.
The government ordered flight attendants back to work, seeking binding arbitration. The strike has now been declared illegal, which means the union could be fined, and heavily.
The government may even take a further step. We have historical precedent in Canada where union leaders have been imprisoned for defying back-to-work orders.
If it means folks like me going to jail, then so be it. If it means our union being fined, then so be it.
Our last offer was roughly 40% over 4 years, which will make our flight attendants the best paid flight attendants in Canada.
Employees are coming off a long contract and feel they lost ground in wages. They had been negotiating for months.
It was the judgment of both the union and the company that they were at an impasse. That's not my judgment, it's their judgment. And so we are in a situation where literally hundreds of thousands of Canadians and visitors to our country are being disrupted.
And passengers can expect more disruptions as each side, including the government, considers its next move.
I'm going to talk about that disruption. There's another one tomorrow. I'll tell you about just a sec, Jung, but I want to show, including, hello, up there as well. They've seen us. They're spotted the camera looking up. They've been here all day, actually, for a few days. All right, the latest move by Air Canada. They're saying no deal at all until these guys go back to work. We can tell you the flights are already being canceled tomorrow. 1981, we're told. That is the last time that a CUPE president went to jail over a strike, 45 days, and that was a hospital strike. Jung.
Thank you, Sinjin. The strike isn't only impacting holiday plans. A BC Lions player missed his grandmother's funeral this morning when his flight to Ottawa was canceled and he was unable to find another way there in time. Shannon Patterson spoke exclusively to the player who was forced to watch his grandmother's funeral on a live stream.
BC Lions defensive back Patrice Rene was very close to his grandma Carmen Kanjay.
She was the glue of the family in a lot of ways. She's the sweetest lady you could possibly meet. Make sure that everybody's taken care of, make sure that everybody has what they need.
When Kanjay passed away in Ottawa 10 days ago, the family scheduled the matriarch's funeral for this morning, so Rene could attend the service without missing Saturday's home game against the Alouettes.
I played for my grandmother. I had her in my mind the whole time. I know that she was watching over me. I know that she would want me to play this game, and I really felt her presence with me.
Riding high from the Lions' victory, Rene checked his phone after the game and learned his Sunday morning Air Canada flight to Ottawa had been canceled.
I tried to call customer service, couldn't reach anybody. Tried to email, couldn't reach anybody. And then at that point, I'm just looking at other different flights, different airlines, just trying to find my best possible way to get to Ottawa. But unfortunately, everything was booked.
Out of options, the 27-year-old realized he would miss his grandmother's funeral.
The thing that hurts me the most is not that she passed. Like, I knew everybody has their day, everybody has their time. She lived a great life, she was older. But the thing that hurt the most was just not being able to be there for my family, not being able to be there for my mom, not able to hug her on this day after she lost her mother.
Rene watched the service on a live stream that had been set up for extended family in Haiti.
That's a surreal experience in itself, just watching the live stream and seeing my family, and I can't even touch them. Seeing the casket was crazy to know that I don't get to see my grandma anymore. Like, I missed my chance to see her.
Rene says he's not angry at the striking flight attendants.
I studied labor relations and employment relations, so I understand what's happening.
He just wishes Air Canada was doing more for impacted passengers.
Like, they don't really understand or try to really consider what the impact of missing a flight could be.
For Rene, the impact was devastating.
That's going to be with me for the rest of my life. Like, I didn't get to see my grandma get buried. I didn't get to say goodbye.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Surrey.
Breaking news, CTV has just learned that Air Canada and the striking union are currently holding discussions with the mediator. And a show of solidarity outside the Rogers Tower downtown today for striking Rogers technicians in Abbotsford. Members of the United Steelworkers Union showed their support for the 25 technicians who have been on the picket line since June. They're asking to be paid the same as their counterparts in Vancouver and Langley, where they say the work and responsibilities are identical. An investigation is underway after the president of a non-profit multicultural society in Surrey was attacked with bear spray in what police are calling a targeted assault. The August 11th altercation was caught on surveillance video overlooking the parking lot of the Progressive Intercultural Community Services Society in Newton. The president and CEO, Satbir Chima, was walking to his car around 5:30 p.m. when a white Dodge pickup truck approaches him. A man then gets out of the vehicle and sprays him with a can of bear repellent. Authorities say 2 suspects were involved in the incident, the truck's driver and the attacker. Chima releasing a statement saying, quote, "Violence and intimidation will not deter us from serving those who depend on our services."
Why are you hitting that down for the count?
This video circulating on social media of an arrest in Port Alberni on Sunday is drawing criticism from the community. It's not clear what led to the arrest, but several witnesses can be heard shouting at police as an officer strikes a man in the head while he's pinned to the ground. One bystander calling the use of force, quote, "totally unnecessary." RCMP say the man was armed with a sharp object and was not complying with his arrest. They did not specify what charges he could face in connection with the incident. The rain and cooler temperatures have helped in BC's wildfire fight. For now, though, evacuation orders, alerts, and a state of emergency remain in effect for the Mount Underwood fire outside Port Alberni. But the fire has knocked out power for the town of Bamfield at a crucial time of year. CTV's Rob Buffum reports.
Crews are mopping up the Mount Underwood wildfire near Port Alberni. Rain over the past few days aiding their efforts. Still technically called out of control, the 3,600-hectare fire has turned a corner.
Over the last 4 days, we've had approximately 36 millimeters of rain fall in the vicinity of the fire, and that has really assisted in lowering fire behavior and fire growth.
But power outages in nearby Bamfield are expected to leave the remote community dark for another 2 weeks.
A lot of burnt poles broken, lines down that we have to replace. In total, it's about 20 kilometers worth of line that we have to replace.
The main road into the community is also still cut off. Dependent on tourism, folks say the double whammy is hammering businesses at the peak of fishing season.
This is the absolute worst time for this to happen.
It's prompting calls for the province to throw a financial lifeline to companies facing potential bankruptcy.
Help out tourism by giving us, something, whether it's fuel for the generators, which is, hundreds of dollars a day, or something just to help out.
Elsewhere in BC, a wildfire sparked near Vernon Sunday. Attacks from the air with water from Kalamalka Lake helped efforts from the ground, and it's now considered held. It's one of 76 wildfires burning in BC, just 4 of them out of control. In an August that continues to be wetter and less fiery than last year. This summer, there's been 53 lightning-caused blazes. Last year, there were more than 1,000.
In hotter, drier conditions and years, we have a lot more fires that come from the lightning due to that dry lightning and the kind of heat domes, if you will, from previous years.
Still, officials are reminding British Columbians conditions can change quickly, with dry weather forecast and 2 weeks left in August.
Rob joins us live from Victoria. Rob, what kind of expenses are they facing in Bamfield?
Well, there's a variety of expenses. As we saw, the cost of diesel can be hundreds of dollars a day to operate generators. And Bob Beckett in the story there also told me that they want to see help from the province with shoring up the back road, which is currently the only way into Bamfield. He also said at a community meeting today, there's been a bit of a shift in messaging. They had officially been saying avoid the community because there's only that back road and the issues with power. But now looking at the specter of what would be a total of 3 weeks right in the heart of August, salmon fishing season, they've kind of shifted the tone, at least unofficially, saying come to Bamfield, the fishing's good, you can get there on the back road. Mi Jung.
Thank you, Rob. An investigation is now underway after flames tore through a large building in Langley. It happened early Sunday morning at a construction project on the corner of 201 A Street and Fraser Highway. Crews from the Langley and Surrey fire departments were quick to arrive and get the fire under control. While no other building received fire damage, some windows of the neighboring buildings did break due to the amount of heat from the fire.
The building we're standing beside across the street began to smoke because the heat was so intense. So not only were crews faced with the fact of dealing with a building, they were faced with several exposures.
No injuries were reported. Power was also shut down in the area as crews fought the fire, and several buildings were also evacuated. Mounties say the fire is being treated as suspicious until proven otherwise. There's lots of reaction to the surprise announcement that Fraser Downs racetrack in Surrey is ceasing operation. The closure follows notice from the city that it is terminating the lease. As CTV's Dimitra Maragos reports, the news comes as a huge shock to the racing community.
You'll no longer be hearing this at the Fraser Downs racetrack. The city of Surrey announcing over the weekend that it's ending the lease with Fraser Downs.
It was shocking.
Leaving horse trainers and breeders like Catherine Regelson, the owner of Strideaway Thoroughbreeders, frustrated.
No discussion, no negotiation.
Regelson, who provides boarding for horses, says this will dramatically impact her bottom line.
We could lose, $2,000 to $3,000, $4,000 a month.
In a statement, Surrey Mayor Brenda Locke says the decision to end the lease is to deliver new housing, support the $3 billion hospital, and expand recreation centers.
I wholeheartedly do support the termination of the lease right now.
City Councillor Linda Annis says more could be done with the land.
The fairgrounds are very underutilized, and there's lots of opportunity there.
And some components on the grounds should be upgraded and maintained.
The city is undergoing a feasibility study right now to determine what the best use is.
We've been calling for change in both Vancouver and Surrey to have an end to horse racing.
The Vancouver Humane Society says the euthanization of horses at Fraser Downs is beyond industry standards.
There's essentially gambling out there that can be done that does not cause harm to animals.
It's one of the worst things I've seen in my career in Surrey in politics.
Former Mayor Doug McCallum says current lawmakers in Surrey have their blinders on.
We have to have a balance between development and having parks that we can work together with communities.
He's concerned about the economic impact.
We lost a lot of jobs. There's going to be many families suffering.
In a statement, Fraser Downs says it's focused on moving forward to support staff and working closely with the city to transition the property back within its control. But for business owners like Ragelson, she says this decision is short-sighted.
This is devastating news to the BC equine community.
Demetri Marigo, CTV News, Surrey.
The latest on Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's bid to get back in the House of Commons. Today's the Alberta by-election with more than 200 candidates also ahead.
For the first time here at BC Place,
A thrilling weekend for soccer fans. It didn't take long for German legend Thomas Müller to make some magic wearing a Whitecaps jersey. When CTV News continues. Stay with us. Fans of the Vancouver Whitecaps had a thrilling weekend with the arrival of a new superstar. Thomas Müller suited up yesterday, and while the German footballer dazzled the crowd, the game itself was bittersweet. Penny Daflos explains.
They waited hours with messages and encouragement before giving what can best be described as a hero's welcome for someone new to Vancouver but internationally famous in the soccer world.
He's like a legend, one of the best players of all time. It's crazy to see someone of his caliber, finally join Vancouver.
These fans aren't just excited about Thomas Müller's star power.
He's just here to win trophies.
He's got a great goal-scoring ability. He's got a great energy.
He's gonna bring a lot to the locker room, and he has the experience.
One of the biggest control the game, the tactic.
For others, it's very personal.
I'm German, and he's been my favorite player since I was a kid.
We're super excited. Müller's like our all-time favorite player.
Everyone likes him, and that's special about him, yes.
He's a sympathical player. Over 700 matches for Bayern Munich.
And so, hopes and expectations were high.
I hope he scored in his debut game.
As Müller stepped onto the field for his first game in Vancouver.
A World Cup winner, footballing superstar Thomas Müller is on for his Vancouver Whitecaps debut.
With Vancouver already up by 1 goal, triumph. But it wasn't meant to be.
We have a party pooper in the stadium. The flag has gone up.
Because a Whitecap player was offside and the goal didn't count. The game ended with a 1-1 draw.
The result is disappointing, to be honest, but I came in at my first moment. The crowd was going crazy, but then it was taken off. I'm happy now that my first game is in the books.
As he settles into a new city, there appears to be no end to Muller mania. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
Canada is leading the way when it comes to volunteering to work at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Toronto and Vancouver rank 1, 2 among the 16 host cities in the number of applications. There have been more than 565,000 total volunteer applications to date, over 180,000 of them in Canada. Organizers expect to use about 65,000 volunteers, including 6,000 in this country. Volunteers will provide support at stadiums, training sites, airports, hotels, and more. Forget hot dogs, cotton candy, and mini donuts. There are some more adventurous culinary creations at the PNE this year. There's apple crumble pierogies from International Pierogies. It's potato and cheese-filled pierogies topped with cinnamon sugar, apple pie filling, vanilla glaze, and cinnamon toast crunch cereal. How about a slice of blueberry pizza from Cheeky Italian Pizzeria? comes with cinnamon orange mascarpone cream and ginger compote, or maybe an ube corn dog from the Corn Dog King, described as sweet and savory with mozzarella cheese, cooked in ube batter, rolled in ube panko and Kewpie mayo. And more dessert. This is called Cowboy Candy from Summerland Soft Serve. It's mango soft serve with tahine and candied jalapenos. Do you like the sweet and the spicy combination?
I have that on my list of things to eat when I'm at the PNE starting tomorrow. So yes, I will let you know if it's delicious or not.
And they're paying you. They're paying you to eat all this food.
Yes. So I'm weighing myself before, and then we'll see what happens by September.
I don't know. Do you really have to step on that scale?
No, that's
not
true.
to know.
Yeah, no, I'm weighing myself in happiness and deliciousness, right? All right, not a bad weekend. Means not a bad way to start off the work week either. We're seeing mostly cloudy skies out there. Temperatures in the low 20s. This is what we're looking at across the lower mainland right now. 21 at the harbor as well as in Burnaby and in Abbotsford. You're looking at 22 degrees in Pitt Meadows, Surrey and Chilliwack. A touch cooler in White Rock at 20 degrees right now. So overcast skies as we head through the overnight. Still mild at 15 degrees. And tomorrow, much of the same. Mostly cloudy skies. Highs to 22 degrees. But the UV index is still high, so make sure you slap on that sunscreen.
CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises, customizing dream vacations with unbelievable value. Call or learn more at expediacruises.ca.
We had record-breaking rain on Friday, and doesn't look like we'll see any more raindrops in the forecast. Those details coming up.
Yeah, we still have a lot of summer left.
Yes, and it will heat up as we head into the second half of the work week.
All right, thanks, Ann. An Edmonton woman says her house may have had a close encounter with a hot air balloon. Also ahead.
Thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war.
The Ukrainian president learned his lesson from his last meeting with Donald Trump. What the U.S. president says about possibly brokering a peace deal. That's ahead. Some of the most powerful leaders in the world went to the White House today to talk to the U.S. president about peace for Ukraine. The group, a buffer for Volodymyr Zelensky, who also had a high-stakes meeting with Donald Trump, his first since that tense exchange earlier this year. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
The Ukrainian president arrived at the White House dressed in a black suit instead of his usual military uniform. Donald Trump took notice.
First of all, Mr. President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Volodymyr Zelensky also made sure he voiced his appreciation for the president's effort to end Russia's war on Ukraine.
Thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war.
But the devil is in the details, and Zelensky wants to make sure the plan Trump discussed with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska will respect Ukraine's sovereignty. Speaking with reporters, Trump said a deal can be worked out without a ceasefire.
We can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other.
On social media, Trump said on Sunday that Zelensky can end the war if it gives up Crimea and membership in NATO. Russia took over Crimea in 2014, and after 3.5 years of war, it controls almost all of the Donbas region in southeast Ukraine. Putin wants Ukraine to give up territory as a condition for peace.
When we talk about security, we're talking about the security not just of Ukraine, we're talking about the security of Europe.
To prevent Ukraine's interests from being subverted in a deal brokered by the U.S. and Russia, 7 European leaders from Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Finland, the European Union, and NATO's Secretary General traveled to Washington to stand with Zelensky to warn against trusting Putin and fight for security guarantees.
We're going to try and get a 3-party meeting, maybe as soon as we can.
Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Polls close. close in about an hour in an Alberta by-election that could see Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre return to the House of Commons.
He's not going to care what's going on in the constituency. He's more concerned about his own rear end being in Parliament.
He was born in Alberta, so anyways, I hope he does good for Alberta.
He's a good leader, honestly. If he does really well here, he probably will keep it. If he doesn't do as well, because it's such a strong Conservative base here, then they might be looking at a leadership review.
Poilievre is one of a record 214 candidates vying to win Battle River Crowfoot. It's considered one of the safest Conservative seats in the entire country. The majority of the other candidates are part of a protest group that wants changes to Canada's electoral system. Poilievre is in the running after he lost his Ottawa seat in the general election back in April. An Edmonton homeowner got an unusual wake-up call this morning. She believes a hot air balloon may have hit her house.
Clunk, 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 clunk. Constant, loud.
Eliza Lyon says those loud noises from what sounded like her roof woke her up. A short time later, she came across this post in a neighborhood group chat. That's her house. A hot air balloon appears to be touching it.
I was like, did that wreck the roof? It was just like unbelievable. I'm like, how can that balloon go so low? Like where all the trees are and the ponds, like, you know? It's amazing, but it's on top of my roof.
The company tells CTV News its hot air balloon did not land on or contact any homes when coming in for a landing. Taylor Swift's Eras tour smashed records. Now she's set a higher bar for podcast views. We'll explain. Also ahead, a new chapter in Vancouver's book scene. Why people were lined up around the block to check out a new business focusing on a hot literary trend. That's ahead. A California woman infamously known as the ketamine queen has agreed to plead guilty to federal drug charges in connection to Matthew Perry's fatal overdose. 42-year-old Jasmine Sangha is the fifth and final defendant charged in the death of the Friends star to strike a plea agreement with federal prosecutors. Her guilty plea will mean she can avoid an upcoming trial. Sangha faces a maximum sentence of 65 years in prison. You could call it the romance resurgence, but these aren't your grandma's Harlequin novels. Whether it's a slow-burning enemies to lovers tale or a fantasy series, romance novels are all the rage, prompting hundreds to turn up at a Vancouver bookstore. Our Penny Daflos now on the trend, sweeping the literary world and forging a community in the process.
This isn't a trendy brunch spot, nor is it a shop offering mega deals. This is the grand opening of a bookstore dedicated to a very specific genre.
The romance community is so big, and all these other cities have gotten their romance bookstores, and I just thought Vancouver deserves that too.
Perfect Match Books promises page-turners readers will swoon over, whether it's viral novels like the Akatar series or little-known novellas.
My goal is that everyone walks in and finds themselves on the shelves, so I don't want anybody leaving feeling like there wasn't a book for them here.
It kind of whisks you away, right? The love story. And there's always like a deeper meaning to them, which I absolutely love.
Natalie and Nicole are big fans of the genre and the complexity.
They're not just about love, they're often about like self-discovery and relationships with friends and family. I'm a very avid reader and I like to put my reviews up on Instagram.
The online book community has never been bigger, with romantasy blending love stories with fantasy leading the way. Some are ultra spicy while others are classics, and they're all reviewed on social media. From subgenres,
it seems like mafia romances are a very popular niche within book talk,
to individual books.
Oh boy, it's so good. Yes, yes, yes.
To takes on strengths and weaknesses of specific characters.
Making the stupidest decisions over and over and over again, and just, that's her.
It's a growing genre both online and in real life. Romancing the data now counts 133 physical bookstores across 9 countries. London got its first earlier this year.
So many of these amazing books have been sort of dubbed as quote-unquote smut, and I think that's really unfair because they have, great character building, amazing plot.
And even though some are a little reluctant to admit they've indulged.
It feels then that people will not take you seriously as a reader.
Perfect Match is the 7th romance bookstore in Canada, and this turnout suggests demand is high.
I'm just answering the need of the community.
Penny Dafflaw, CTV News, Vancouver.
Taylor Swift is known for breaking records, and she's broken another one.
This is my brand new album.
Taylor Swift appeared on her boyfriend Travis Kelce's podcast, New Heights. That's where she revealed her 12th album, The Life of a Showgirl. It set a YouTube record. The show peaked at 1.3 million concurrent live stream viewers, which is a new podcast high on the platform.
I just love it.
The Nashville Zoo has managed to breed one of the rarest cat species in the world. 14 clouded leopards now call the zoo home, including 2 new cubs. The zoo is using oversized eggs to help the 11-week-olds with their hunting and pouncing skills. The cats are native to Southeast Asia, but are considered vulnerable to extinction due to deforestation, poaching, and the pet trade.
Leopard versus egg.
A bull on the loose caused a major headache on Highway 1. What it took to move the bovine. Also ahead.
My whole front bumper, my grill is broken, my camera's broken.
A woman suddenly attacks his car while he's at a red light. While insurance will cover the damage, what he says is unfair. That's ahead. Here's a look at today's markets. The Canadian dollar was down slightly, still trading for 72 cents to the American dollar. Oil gained 72 cents, closing the day at $62.70 U.S. a barrel. Gold dropped $4.60. The TSX ended the day higher, up 17 points. The Dow Jones closed lower, losing 34 points. More than 1.4 million Canadians missed a credit card payment in the second quarter this year, exposing a deepening divide among consumers. That 1.4 million is up more than 100,000 over the same time last year, although down slightly from the first quarter this year. Equifax says younger people and people who don't own homes are facing the most significant financial challenges. About 1 in 19 Canadians without a mortgage missed a credit payment, compared to 1 in 37 homeowners. An update now on the dog who was found chained to a tree near the Wesley Ridge wildfire on Vancouver Island. We can now tell you she has found her forever home. You may recall the story of Eve, saved by a dog walker who heard her barking near the evacuation zone. She was left with no food, water, or information as to who owned her or why she was there. She was taken to a local SPCA where she was found to be in good health and put up for adoption. Over the weekend, a woman came to the shelter and adopted her.
We met and really hit it off, and it was really great. Like, Eve was really easy to get along with. She is a little shy of men, so it worked out for her that this adopter was not a man. So the two of them got along quite well. And I just had an update from her this morning that everything's been going great. She's been meeting other people, and including men, and things have been really great.
The rescued pooch has been given a new name, Luna. And a lot of unanswered questions, like why was the dog left there?
And especially if you're going to leave it there, but without any water or food, knowing you're just leaving it there alone. But I'm glad she has a happy home now, and she's going to thrive.
Yeah, happy ending.
Yes, exactly. All right, let's take a look at our forecast. We saw record-breaking rain on Friday, which bumped up our rainfall totals to 65.9 millimeters of rain, well above the seasonal average of 36.1 millimeters. Today's high, 23.3, above the normal monthly average of 22.4, and it was a warm one last night with an overnight low of 15.5 degrees. So we do have a low offshore that is going to bring in wet weather for the north coast, showers along the central coast as we head head through the day tomorrow. For us, a ridge of high pressure is building, and that'll keep us dry, but still cloudy, as you can see on our weather tracker. For your early morning commute, you'll see mostly cloudy skies, and that will continue into tomorrow afternoon. A stray shower or two, especially around the North Shore regions, and really not for the downtown core at all. It does clear up later on tomorrow night, and we'll see a mix of sun and cloud heading into Wednesday. Unsettled conditions for the North Island, but you'll see a chance of afternoon thunder showers for Prince George. Your provincial forecast at the bottom of your screen. So a few sprinkles and a few breaks for Port Hardy at 16 degrees. That's what you can expect for Campbell River and Comox as well, with a high of 20 degrees for the South Island. Periods of rain for Tofino at 17. Showers for Port Alberni at 20. You'll see sunny breaks for Nanaimo, 22 degrees and 20 degrees for the Southern Gulf Islands and Victoria, both with a mix of sun and cloud. Cloudy with showers for the Sunshine Coast with a high of 18. Drier up the Sea to Sky Highway with some sunny breaks, 19 for Whistler, 22 for Squamish, and for us across the Lower Mainland. Mostly cloudy skies with temperatures between 22 and 23 degrees, clearing up on Wednesday with a high of 21, and then a warm up on the way. Thursday, 23 degrees. Friday and Saturday, inland temperatures will reach 31 degrees. Sunday, 30 degrees inland, 24 degrees near the water, and the next Monday, sunny skies with temperatures between 23 and 28 degrees. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So those seasonal temperatures that we'll see the next couple of days, enjoy them if you like them, because it's going to heat up once again heading into the weekend.
Yeah, and that's a message for all the pessimists who are feeling summer's over.
We had one day of rain, come on.
It was cooler today, but things, yeah, definitely sizzling again. Okay, thanks, Anne.
Welcome.
If someone vandalizes your vehicle, who has to pay? Drivers are required to have liability coverage, and most pay extra for collision and comprehensive coverage. But as one Ontario man found out, you'll still be on the hook to pay the deductible. CTV's Pat Foran has more.
Randomly, someone just attacks your vehicle.
Rana Mashoud of Scarborough says he was returning home after a night out with friends when he was stopped at a red light. That's when a woman, without warning, started kicking the front of his vehicle.
She made a hand gesture, like as if she was pointing a gun. And then she ran up to my vehicle and started kicking it.
Mashoud says in a matter of seconds, his car was extremely damaged.
My whole front bumper, my grill is broken, my camera is broken. I have my sensors that are damaged. One of my headlights is gone.
He called the police and the woman was arrested, but he was upset to find out he would have to pay the $500 deductible, even though he feels he did nothing wrong.
You're the one who has to pay your own deductible because this is not another vehicle that hit you. It was a pedestrian.
Mashoud is insured with Allstate, and a spokesperson told CTV News deductibles are a standard component of many auto insurance policies, and that where possible, Allstate will pursue recovery from the responsible party and reimburse the customer's deductible if successful.
It is very standard in every auto insurance policy where you have optional physical damage coverage that there is a deductible.
The Insurance Bureau of Canada says while Mashoud will have to pay the deductible, he can try to get the person to reimburse him by going to court.
There is the potential of the driver taking the offender to small claims court to recoup their deductible.
Mashoud says he feels it's unfair that a person can vandalize his car and not have to pay to repair it.
As just an innocent person, it doesn't make any sense to not only have my vehicle damaged, but at the same time be liable for a deductible.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Still to come, we'll check in with the BC man who's running right across the country to raise $1 million for mental health services. Plus, Paul's Birds. Adam meets a Colwood artist with a habit of helping injured birds. Coming up on the Sawatsky sign-off. Right now, here's a preview of CTV Morning Live.
Pierre Poilievre aiming for his return to Ottawa. Tuesday on CTV Morning Live, we're tracking the results of a by-election that could send the Conservative leader back to the House of Commons. And how will he stack up against Prime Minister Mark Carney? Also, where are we at with the Buy Canadian movement? 7 months in, are Canadians committed still? And is it having any impact? We'll see you in the morning.
News, weather, and traffic. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, weekdays 6 to 9.
Highway 11 had to be shut down this weekend in Abbotsford after a bull became loose, blocking the road. Police asked people to avoid the area and make room for emergency vehicles as they tried to corral it. About an hour later, police said a local vet had tranquilized the bull, which was loaded onto a trailer and taken away. The bull was not hurt. A BC man is running across the country with the goal of raising $1 million for mental health services. The coast-to-coast journey involves running an ultra-marathon. That's 50 kilometers every day. Former Border Service agent Sachin Lati says he has struggled with his mental health, and running helped him find purpose. He just passed through Ottawa, where he was joined by youth and members of the Ottawa Police Service.
I think the mental health crisis that Canadians are feeling right now is an existential crisis. So I think it's extremely important that we talk about it, that we do something about it, and that we engage community with it.
The journey is expected to take about 80 days. Incredible. I can't even imagine doing one ultra marathon.
What, every day?
That's incredible. He was such good shape. And, you know, he's not super young, but he's still doing it.
For him.
Okay, well, a proposal from the heart and from above. One couple took their love to new heights, literally. Tim Sullivan wanted to pop the question to his girlfriend, Caroline Liggett, but he let a corn maze do the talking, taking her on a scenic flight over his family's Ohio farm. Where he designed a 13-acre corn maze spelling out, "Will you marry me, Caroline?" He says while it was a bit corny, it's something he had to do as they both work in agriculture and love corn.
I've never seen her face light up as much as she did, and it was definitely one of the coolest experiences that we'll be able to tell for a lifetime going forward.
Once they landed back on the ground, Tim got down on one knee, and of course, Caroline said yes.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
congratulations.
There's a lot of corn farms in Chilliwack. Maybe this could give some people an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, Mary, what's coming up tonight?
Yami Jung, Air Canada flight attendant, the Union for Air Canada's flight attendants say they are currently in meetings with the airline and a mediator. At this time, the strike is still on. Talks have started again, so that's a good sign. Also tonight, polls close in less than an hour in the Alberta by-election that could see Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre return to the House of Commons. Poilievre is widely expected to win, which is the first step, but there is a long road ahead. We'll have the latest at 11:30.
All right, thank you, Mary. Finally, Adam shares the remarkable tale of a Vancouver Island artist and the bird that quite literally crashed into his life on tonight's Encore. Sawatsky, sign off.
As Paul Lewis draws outside this summer, he's reminded of when he was painting inside that winter and something smacked into his window.
Bang! I was like, what the heck was that?
When Paul went outside to help the bird, it didn't respond.
He was all limp and it was like he was dead. I'm like, okay, well, maybe he's not breathing.
So Paul brought him inside and started performing CPR on the bird.
Started little breaths on his little mouth, and I was pumping his little chest there.
And before he shows us what happened next, Paul says he's done this sort of thing before, like when he tried to save this other bird after spotting it stunned in the middle of a busy street.
So I stopped traffic. He was going to get run over. I ran out, I picked him up, brought him into my car.
Where Paul comforted the bird until he could fly away on his own. And then there was that other time Paul rescued this baby bird from a curious cat.
He sat in my hand, and Mom and Dad were kind of chirping and squawking, so I put him on a branch, and they came right over, and they puked up a little berry into its mouth. I was like, wow.
And after the baby ate the berry, Paul says he put out his finger to give him a goodbye pet.
And he jumped back on my finger. I was just like, you are the cutest little thing in the world.
Which brings us back to when Paul tried to bring this bird back to life.
Started blinking. I'm like, all right, well, he's alive again.
Alive, but far from lively. So Paul sat with him, pet his head, and started showing him this book of bird art by iconic painter Robert Bateman.
As soon as we got to the robins, he just came back to life and just chirp, 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 and looked up at me. I'm just like, oh, you like the robins, hey? Maybe he knows a robin. I don't know.
What Paul does know is that the bird seemed inspired by it all, and before eventually flying away, seemed to express his gratitude.
I just loved the way he just looked back and gave me this. It was the cutest little wink, and then he flew away. I'm like, all right. good luck.
A reminder that if we take time to notice what's around us and respond to what we see, we just might find that even our smallest actions make a big impact. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Colwood.
Wow.
I would not have thought of doing CPR on a bird. Would you?
No.
Would you have thought of that?
No, maybe he was a bird and
whisperer.
past life.
Yeah.
He definitely has a connection.
Yeah, to know
his
that.
feathered friends.
Yeah,
right?
that's amazing. I have my pet CPR, and I still would not have thought to do that at all. I know dogs. That's about it. All right, let's take a look at our scenic snapshot for tonight. A beautiful photo looking towards Stanley Park at sunset. Thanks, Joyce, for sending this one in. And we want to see your scenic snapshot as well, so email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
You have your pet CPR?
Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
I don't have my human one, but I have my pet one.
Yeah, we know who you love more.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
This is her baby.
All right, thanks for joining us. Mary's back at 11:30.
Good night.